Hello everybody, and welcome to ZookaMan Streaming, where I get you and your replays to be casted for my entertainment, and to hopefully help you improve a little bit as well. I'm your host, ZookaMan, and we're going to be going into a PvP. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our players. In the top left side of the map, we see C0ffeeBreak spawning in as the blue Protoss player, and his opponent on the opposite side of the map. For those of you keeping track, at the top right, we have ZeroAir spawning in as the red Protoss player, and I'm assuming that by his name, he doesn't breathe. Yeah, we're going to go with there. 002 or ZeroAir. So we're going to be seeing both players. Going to be going for the standard pylon openings. So PvP, the matchup in general right now, very, very versatile. There's a lot of things that we're seeing out of both sides of the equation. I know that Stargate is still a viable option, and Robo is kind of a little bit phased out. It kind of depends on what your opponent is doing. If he's seeing more gateway-centric army, a lot of the times you're going to be seeing more towards the side of that robotics facility as opposed to Starport or Stargate, where the intent is to do aggression to your opponent. And of course, 4-gate is something in itself as well. But you all know what a 4-gate is. So we're seeing C0ffeeBreak take his gas at the normal standard time. Both players kind of doing that a little bit late, or should I say a little bit behind for ZeroAir. But it's not that big of a deal. Only a few seconds between the two of them, and at this level that doesn't really make a whole lot of difference. That doesn't make a whole lot of difference at all. So both players are going to be getting a pylon up to help with the whole supply thing. You know how that works. C0ffeeBreak going to be going up on his cybernetics core, and ZeroAir is going to be a little bit behind him. What I'd like to see from one, or if not both of these players, we're going to be seeing a double gateway. So, sack of the hole, what I want to see. So we're going to be seeing double gateway out from ZeroAir, which means most likely, more often than not, we're going to be seeing either one of two things, which is very popular with this kind of opening. Either he's going to be going into an early expansion down in his natural, or he's going to be doing some sort of zealot stalker pressure, or he could also be going into a precursor for a 4-gate. So I guess that's three things, but two of which I would consider legit. C0ffeeBreak side of the field, we're seeing an additional couple of gateways added on, and we have the lethal prize in the back of the main base, coming up in the form of a Stargate in the back of his main base. However, let's keep in mind, ZeroAir, he's going to be a bit cheeky there as well, going to be dropping down his proxy Twilight Council. And probably because of the proxy, I'm going to say we're going to be seeing probably GTs over Blink Stalkers, because in this level of play, which is gold, by the way, if I did not mention that before, Blink Stalkers aren't necessarily a big thing, and on this map, I don't believe you can blink these distance. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe you can. So, we're going to be seeing ZeroAir going to be dropping down a Dark Templar down here as well. So, Dark Templar is what we are going to be seeing. However, C0ffeeBreak does have one Oracle out on the map in a couple of seconds here. So, it'll be really down to see if his Oracle can do the damage that he needs it to do. However, if those DTs hit the base before we see a robotics facility hit the field for our blue Protoss player, then the DTs will do quite a bit of damage. Forward pylon is being established down here as well for ZeroAir, and we have a couple of Stalkers already out for C0ffeeBreak, but we don't have any detection. I know we have the Oracle, which is tearing away at the probes in the main base. Is going to get repelled by a few stalkers, but is going to get quite a few probes in the process. 10 workers killed for CoffeeBreak, and at this point in the game, that is huge. However, we're going to see a pylon trying to go down in the main base, but we can't forget that the one in the natural is up. We already have one Dark Templar out on the field. Where is it? Seriously, no. Okay, Dark Templars are going to be going into that natural expansion. There are no force fields up yet to be able to force field off the ramp. Those Dark Templars are going to get into the main base. They're going to go for the mineral line. They're going to do a lot of damage here. Probes are going down by the dozen. CoffeeBreak really needs to pull off the units he has. Get some photon cannons or something else to defend against this, but he doesn't really have any anti-air. He needs to pull back that Oracle and be able to Revelation on top of that. But that should be perfectly fine for him to be able to get it. And also, I don't think he has enough energy. Oh, that's not good. Is going to get the energy up to get the detection off on these guys, which is going to kill one and push the other back. However, Dark Templar is on its way, or he's working through the natural expansion, and that is pretty much going to be forfeited because CoffeeBreak does not have the detection that he needs. Is going to get down his forge, 4 cannons. Love to see a robotics facility come down for him as well. So that will be a pretty decent addition to this army. Engagement is going to come out down here with those stalkers, but oh, does he have the... Okay, he does have Revelation on, or the detection ability, whatever it is going to be able to pull back these units. However, really does not be careful because this stalker is valuable. Needs to be really careful about keeping that alive. And those are going to get into the middle line and going to be going once again for a lot of probes here. 15 for ZeroAir so far in this game. That is devastating for our Protoss opponent, or for a Protoss player. And is going to now even go for the forge. CoffeeBreak is in a tough position here, needs to get detection on the field, is going to have another Oracle on the way to help out as well, is going to take out the forward pylon, and that's going to force this, that's going to stop more coming in from that location. However, they're doing so much damage in the main base, 18 in the main base, 18 workers killed in the main base, and a lot of mining time lost for him. He is going to push this back, but it kind of makes me think at what cost. I mean, I know this is pretty much an all-in at this point from ZeroAir, because he doesn't really have anything back home to deal with this. He has 4 gateways, he has a forge, but he doesn't have an expansion behind this to take the economical lead. So if this doesn't do the damage that he needs it to do, then he's going to be in a very bad position. However, CoffeeBreak is kind of on the edge here. He needs to win this engagement, otherwise he loses this game outright. And that Archon is going to do a lot of damage. Even now going to be pulling probes to help take care of it. He might just have enough to stay in this game, but once again, at what cost? He has very little income, only about 10 harvesters at this point. And that's, or not, yeah, 10 harvesters at this point. So that's going to be a tough thing to have to come back from. Meanwhile, we have ZeroAir transitioning out of this Dark Templar pressure, and it's going to be taking his natural expansion. CoffeeBreak, on the other hand, is going to kind of scramble back and hope that he can do what he needs to do here. He has a Void Ray up to help take care of the Stalker population, but he needs to take care of this Archon first. That is the important thing. If that Archon goes down, the rest of that army should be under fire. Mothership Core has about 2 photon overcharges at this point, so he is able to hold out for about 2 minutes. If, you know, he actually cares a bit about it. Actually, Mothership Core is going to live. He could have sniped it there, and that would have been a devastating to CoffeeBreak here. CoffeeBreak going to be desperately putting down some cannons to help defend against this while keeping up his pro production. Is going to get the Archon, is going to get the rest of those Stalkers, and he is going to be able to survive this. But once again, guys, what cost? His opponent already going up for his natural expansion. That's about finished now. And CoffeeBreak is kind of sitting on 14 harvesters. No gas production, and just now getting back onto his feet as in the forms of economy. However, do I think that he's out of this game? By no means do I think he's out of this game. He is just very behind. He needs to look for some way to do damage, and is going to do that by going for the Oracle into the the main base of his opponent. Meanwhile, while the Dark Templar get mopped up in the main base, we have the Oracle killing away. About 3-4 kills now, but not really doing the damage that really needs to be done. Now taking gas back in his main base, really could use to take down his natural as he's behind there, but he doesn't really have the resources to, and he needs to make units to defend against any sort of forward attack we see from ZeroAir in the future here. However, ZeroAir not really looking to do that. He's going to go really, really heavily now into this macro play. Going to be going into that second base, going to be getting into that +1 attack upgrade. It's going to grab his second gas, and it's just basically going to macro back, sit back, and kind of let the damage that he's done to CoffeeBreak sustain itself. Because he lost ZeroAir managing to kill 22 workers off of CoffeeBreak before the 10-minute mark. That's crazy amount of damage done against CoffeeBreak, which means he's going to be having to use all of his Chrono Boost, and is going to have to gear up to try to take a lead back somewhere. Somehow, somewhere from his opponent. Also, my production tab went away. So, both players are going to be going up for their robotics facilities at this point. ZeroAir going to be coming up on his blink, as he does have a little bit of extra resources up as well. CoffeeBreak going to be getting his robotics facility, probably for an observer, and then hopefully he'll take an expansion. However, we're going to be seeing a small contingency of stalkers moving into this main base. Is going to poke up and kind of scout what his opponent's doing, and back out, because he can't really take a direct engagement with that Void Ray overhead. Talking about continuing Void Ray production, which is actually, in my opinion, a good idea for him right now. He does know that his opponent does have stalker count, and he doesn't know that his opponent is doing anything in terms of zealot count. So as long as he has a few Void Rays overhead, those stalkers should be perfectly easily dispatched, shall we say. But ZeroAir, yes, ZeroAir, he has no hair. So ZeroAir going to be going up on, I don't even know what I was going to say now. Oh yes, War Prism. We have a War Prism on the map for ZeroAir. Going to be moving out across the map to his opponent's natural or main base, and is going to try to do what damage he can. However, CoffeeBreak does have detection in his main base, so Dark Templar push-in is not going to do a whole lot of damage. Instead, we're going to see a couple of Stalkers, or a couple of Zealots can be warped in, and then a few Dark Templar to follow that up. However, the Observer is hanging overhead, so those are going to be pretty much nullified in terms of detection. War Prism is going to fly out at this point. Natural Expansion is coming up from CoffeeBreak now. Meanwhile, the natural base is already established for ZeroAir. 47-24 harvesters, vastly in favor of ZeroAir at this point. CoffeeBreak going to be grabbing a few Phoenixes out of his starport to help defend against Stargate. Sorry, I'm having a trouble with that today. He's going to get a Stargate and a Phoenix to help take care of that War Prism, make sure that it doesn't come around and do any more damage. Because that's the last thing he needs right now. The thing he needs right now is to macro up here, and he needs to even up, especially the Harvester count, if not the army count. I mean, 56 to 81 supply. CoffeeBreak is vastly behind at this point. But once again, I do think that he's still in the running. He's just going to have to play carefully and find the way back into this, because worst games have been won. We do have Robotics Bay coming up here now as that natural expansion is finished up for CoffeeBreak. Meanwhile, we're going to see a large number of Stalkers coming into the natural expansion. However, we do have those Void Rays, which are doing quite a bit of damage, but the Stalkers are going to blink under and take out both Void Rays. A couple of Warpins of Stalkers is going to be able to help defend this. ZeroAir is going to get both of those Void Rays, however, and that's going to do the damage that he hopes. He is actually even now going to get the Mothership Core as well. ZeroAir doing a lot of damage here, doing exactly what he needs to do to keep his opponent on his toes. Coffee Break going to be coming up into his Colossus production now, while ZeroAir has now gotten his +2 attack upgrades. And in your head, why not? Let's throw down a ninja expansion down here at this 4th base. Because why not, guys? Why not build cannons in the middle of the map? Why not? Additional robotics bay is on the way, and by bay I mean facility. You guys know what I mean. To help get out some of those units, but he doesn't really have Colossus production, so I'm not sure exactly what he's going to do with this. Maybe Immortals. Kind of interested to see how that'll work out. Extended Thermal Lance about a quarter of the way done from Coffee Break, and we're going to be seeing ZeroAir move back up and get a little bit more damage here. Oops, whoa. Slippery side of the camera, wear me. Meanwhile, Coffee Break is going to pretty much take care of this with the help of his Stalkers, Zealots, and of course that Colossus doing a lot of damage in the back. However, we are going to be seeing another warp-in of... No, make that a drop of Immortals coming up in the main base. He's going to snipe the pylon that is powering that forge. Going to halt upgrades for a little bit, but those Immortals are both going to die. So, I'm not sure if I exactly agree with that. Oh no, here comes with a Blink Stalker into that natural expansion. ZeroAir blinking into the mineral line, doing a lot of damage here. ZeroAir just kind of proving his dominance over his opponent here, being really aggressive, and Coffee Break back on his back feet, not really able to do a whole lot about it. 33 to 51 harvesters in favor of a Red Protest player who is now going to be going on to a 3rd base. Does have 1 gas up down there. Don't believe it's saturated. Nope, not saturated yet. Could use to go do that. Coffee Break going to be continuing his Colossus production, going to be getting charged now as well, which is a good addition to this army to help those Zealots get up onto that mostly Stalker composition. However, ZeroAir going to be pushing in once again. Coffee Break going to have the spread with the Zealots and the Colossus, and is going to be able to push him back. But ZeroAir is going to have the exact whereabouts of his opponent's army, and that is invaluable information to have. And is going to be keeping on with this large amount of Stalkers. Something I'd like to see from Coffee Break is to start grabbing Immortals, actually, because there's a large amount of Stalkers here. And as it is, the Colossus are just going to get sniped here. Both of them going down, and ZeroAir just going to be getting away unscathed, forcing Coffee Break to make more of these high-level units. Coffee Break deciding, no, I'm done with Colossus production for right now, and is going to go into those Immortal production, because that is a large number of Stalkers, 17 on the field right now, pushing them into that natural expansion, and are going to be blinking forward aggressively, and going to be getting that that Colossus. However, keep in mind, the blink actually kind of also did a little bit bad for him, because it did have his opponent's army on top of him, but it might not even matter at this point. ZeroAir just having too much, 2-1 units to the 1-0 of Coffee Break, and Coffee Break, he's holding on, but I'm not sure if he can really take care of these units. And as I say that, of course, the Immortal kills like 16 Blink Stalkers. Warped Zealots are going to be going into that natural expansion, and suddenly it's going to be under fire. Coffee Break forced to fall back into his main base, and forced to be on a position that he doesn't need. He needs this expansion, and he needs to keep it up. If he doesn't, he's going to he's going to fall further behind in this game, and I'm not sure if he will be able to even get back from that at that point. Additional Mortal has begun to come out into the field. Next is he's going to go down at that natural expansion with a Warping of Dark Templar, and suddenly Coffee Break is kind of reeling from this, is out of minerals in his main base, and he can't really afford to get a additional Nexus. And Coffee Break going to be GGing out. So, what's 2 things that we can learn from this, guys? Well, first of all, I'm going to start with our red player, ZeroAir. Very good job of keeping up with his base production. Even though I'd rather have his 3rd base over here, where it's closer to his natural main. But ZeroAir playing a very aggressive game that game, and forcing his opponent to be on his back feet while he established his second base, while he established his third base, while he got his tech out. He was able to do all of these things really, really well because he wasn't having to deal with, oh, what's my opponent doing? Where's my opponent? He knew exactly what his opponent was doing because his opponent was back in his main base, back in his natural, back in his main base, trying to deal with the multiple pressures that we saw. So that's one thing. We learned that pressure was very good on his side of things. Another thing we learned from ZeroAir is that we need to, as players, do a very good job with keeping up on our probes. Now, ZeroAir, not necessarily the best advocate for this, I will admit, but he did keep himself on a pretty good harvester count. 51 compared to usually like 66 is what you want on 3 base for PvP, so that you have more supply for weapons and stuff. So on CoffeeBreak's side of the field, as he is the one who lost this game, what could he have done better? Detection early, in my opinion, detection early would have been a better choice. The Stargate was very poorly chosen compared to what his opponent was doing. A robotics facility would have been better with a observer coming out first, so that DT push that originally did so much damage would have been essentially would not have done the damage that it would have done, and then CoffeeBreak would have been ahead because his opponent, even if his opponent was going to go onto that natural expansion, at the point that CoffeeBreak lost his, he already had it up, and he had it up for a while. So if he was able to push back this Dark Templar with an earlier observer, I think he would have done a lot better. Something else I would like to see from him, I liked the charge, I liked it in the Colossus, however, against the number of Blink Stalkers that we saw, honestly, Immortals would have been a better idea, and yeah, he started going for Immortals towards the end here, but at that point it was a little bit too late for him to be able to do to play catch up, produce the units that he needs to do, and still kind of try to get that tech advantage. And CoffeeBreak lost a lot of workers early on, which put him further behind. Which honestly, I think it would have been remedied with that robotics facility coming up, as opposed to the Stargate as his opener. So, folks, I think that's going to be it. Thank you all for joining me for this cast. If you enjoyed it, link, comment, subscribe, share, all that happy fun stuff. And I hope you guys learned something here today, and I'll see you on the next cast.